Hey guys, welcome on in. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd mean a lot to me. If not, appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. I'm sure you guys are aware of this for the Dolphins tuning in, but if not, a PSA for everybody out there. The practice that was going to go down at Hard Rock Stadium tomorrow is not going on. It is not going to be at Hard Rock Stadium. Inclement weather. We got flood watches this weekend. We got the outskirts of a tropical depression. It's hurricane season, ladies and gentlemen. You'll love it. So if you guys were going out there, nope, that's a bad idea. I was reading a lot of the quotes that came out today from Dolphins camp, and I've been seeing a lot of videos that have come out that I think has the Dolphin and should have the Dolphin really, really excited. And I've been getting, and this has probably been the most heated debate because I like messing with Leroy a lot. I can't deny that. It's a lot of fun. But I like to think of myself as the more optimistic of the duo. You know, I think that he likes to shoot down my optimism with realistic pessimism from time to time. And we've been having a back and forth about this Jaelan Phillips thing. Jaylen Phillips is obviously coming off of a crazy injury, and it's hard to imagine anybody coming back from that and being effective too quickly. You could come back in the season, but this man, Jaelan Phillips, is a monster. I mean, you look at the kind of specimen that he is physically, and you're just like, my God. It is crazy to think that this superhero is going to be held down like a normal man. I feel like he's beating science. And apparently people who are boots on the ground, I see Omar Kelly today, he's writing that Jaelan Phillips has his eyes set on the season opener. He opened his column with today, even suggesting, could he convince some parties to allow him to practice? I don't know what the right decision is. I'm not a doctor. And the Dolphins have become very almost Heat-like in their injury vagueness. Mike McDaniel is a set no timelines type of guy. He doesn't like doing that. And I'm curious to know where we truly are at with this thing. But he looks like, you've seen the videos with him doing the ladder. He's apparently doing horizontal drills today at practice. He is running like crazy. And then there was Anthony Weaver, who spoke to the media today, new Dolphins defensive coordinator, and he was asked about Jaelan Phillips and his stats or what he's learned about him. I think was the way the context of this question was framed. And you could just tell he's just like, oh, dude's a freak.
I learned that he is an absolute freak. He is a specimen of a human being. He is a phenomenal person, and he is chomping at the bit to get out there on the field and play with this guy. So super excited. Mike showed a clip today of just how fast he was running in his rehab program. So let's just say we got excited seeing those numbers.
How fast was he running?
Faster than I've ever seen a dude that big run. Let's say that.
I mean, it's crazy. And it is it's a pretty insane thing to see, the way that guys can make the bounce back. And that the Dolphins do have the top of the line facilities. It was fascinating last year, kind of getting to see the rehab process. I think we saw the very beginnings of it with Jaelan Phillips, but you saw with Jerome Baker last year too, of the guys and how they're able to make their way back and all the state of the art stuff the Dolphins do. But if anybody is going to hit this rehab with the ferocity that they can to get back as soon as possible, Jaelan Phillips feels like that type of guy. He is, and it's obviously, it's a big point in his career too. This is a guy who wants to get back, who wants to get, he sees all of his, not all of his peers, but he's starting to see his peers get big time contracts, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa, and he wants to be in that mix too. He doesn't want to be thought of as injury prone or that this is going to be used against him. And I think there is somewhat of an incentive for him to get all the way back to play a full season. So that's not something that is really held against him, that he had this injury. I don't know what's a responsible thing for them to look at as far as what his production will still be like this year and if it's worth him coming back fast. Because I got to be honest with you, I will say, I'll give Leroy credit on this because we were going back and forth on a date, and he probably nailed the most responsible date, which would be October 20th, and that would be at Indianapolis. That would be right after the bye week for the Dolphins. I think it's week 8. I think it's week 8, but the Dolphins have a bye week 7. It's something in that regard, right? But that is probably the most reasonable date. I'll give him credit on that. I was suggesting, look, if he is going to be in practice, though, and he needs a month, to get himself all the way back, is it crazy to think that the Dolphins, if he's not playing the opener, I don't even know if it's responsible for him to play the first couple weeks because you have the quick turnaround there for both those games. So it almost feels like it's more prudent to bring him back for week 3 if he was going to make a fast return, because having those 2 games in such a short span, it feels like you would probably bench him one of those games anyway and not have him go out there. So it would be like you either start him week 2 or you play in week 1 and don't play in week 2. So all that being said, maybe at the most optimistic, if he were to make an early return, would be week 3, just because the Dolphins have that weirdness to start the season, then Thursday night football. I do think the Dolphins feel a little bit more optimistic about being able to hold the fort because Emmanuel Ogbah has had a tremendous start to camp. Chop Robinson, as it was relayed today by Anthony Weaver, is, quote, as advertised. Still young, still raw, but I don't think they are too worried. It doesn't seem like they feel like this is a guy who's going to be thrown to the deep end and sink. Mo Kamara wants to go out there. He wants to hit the holy hell out of people. You just love that kind of mentality. And then Quentin Bell, who, if you guys don't remember, he was of Hard Knocks fame last year. Max Crosby, remember they had him. He basically was like chicken winging Tua all the time because they were getting out to take on Las Vegas. Max Crosby is a bit of an antagonist. He'll always grab your jersey, he'll bump you, he'll give you a little extra shovey shove. And so Quentin Bell had the task of going around and just bumping Tua the entire practice so they could emulate that and be ready for the game. So he supposedly has looked really, really good too. But nobody's Jaelan Phillips. Jaelan Phillips, I think everybody thinks out of everybody is a bona fide star. It's been pretty quiet on the Bradley Chubb front. He obviously got hurt later in the season. I don't know what, again, with the timelines being so quiet, it's felt like there's been very little news around Chubb at all. But, Chubb's at a point. Chubb's got a $100 million contract. He's not going for the same things that Jaelan Phillips is, and while ACLs are looked upon as more doable injuries, I think he's had it before. I feel like he might have had an ACL tear in the past in his career. Bradley Chubb, ACL. Yeah, he had one in 2019 as well. So this is his second tear. I don't know if it's the same leg or not. But either way, it's been just a lot. It's been a lot more quiet on the Bradley Chubb front than it has the Jaelan Phillips. Jaelan Phillips, if he's not close, he's trying to get the attention of everybody that he's close. And he is trying to make it seem like, hey, I really, really, really want to get out there and show that he can do these types of things. So I find it all very exciting. I think now I would like him to stop trying to feed raccoons. Terrible idea. Goes out on his boat. He encounters a woodland creature. These things carry rabies. And if that were to just derail the Dolphins season, I couldn't deal with it. So my PSA to Jaelan Phillips the next time is bring some Cheez-Its and just throw the snacks. You could see him do adorable things. They'll do the little things with the balls. And you don't have to sit here and I have to worry about a damn raccoon jumping and biting your eyes, dude. I did not like that. One other fascinating thing that happened today from Anthony Weaver from his press conference. I thought this was interesting from his comments on Cam Smith, who is injured. Bummer. I think everybody was hoping this was going to be a big reclamation this year, and this kind of derails it a little bit. Been a lot of buzz about Ethan Bonner, obviously. Cater Co, who can still go out there and make things happen, is a guy who has now had a lot of experience in his first couple of years and a lot of snaps, even if he got targeted a bunch last year. But here was a weave on Cam Smith, and had some interesting things to say about the second-year corner.
I think Cam is such a young player, right? And he certainly has some scars from the previous year, which if you didn't play a lot and you're wondering why, that's going to occur with any young player in that situation. So for me and for us, and I think in order to get the best version of him, which we just started to see prior to injury, he needs to be confident. He can't be afraid to go on that practice field and make mistakes and fear repercussion, particularly at the corner spot. Because whether it's take the corner spot out of it, whether it's a corner spot, defensive end, anybody on that football field, if you don't step between those lines with confidence, you don't have a chance. You're already beaten. So all I'm challenging Cam is to go out there, be confident, be who you are, have faith in your skills, and challenge these receivers, and good things will happen. And when he gets back on that field, I know he's going to do just that.
It's crazy because it feels so eerily similar to what Tua had to deal with Brian Flores. It feels like Anthony Weaver is a bit in the reclamation era with Cam Smith because of the damage that Vic Fangio, fangs leave scars, and it feels like he's got to undo whatever had been done by Vic Fangio last year. This is unfortunately not a great thing that helps you because, boom, all of a sudden you got to deal with an injury right off the bat. And we don't get to see those reps. I think if you were going to look at this upcoming preseason game, this first preseason game, right, we know Tua's not going to play. We know a lot of the stars aren't going to play. But the defense, I think there are some battles that you're interested in. You obviously want to see, hey, can these edge rushers, can these young guys do anything? And you wanted to see, can these corners, who's gonna fly, and which one of these DBs is going to step up with the opportunity. So that's a bit of a bummer, but you at least appreciate that Anthony Weaver recognizes this is a guy that he does have to kind of nurse back into the fold of why they drafted him so damn high, and that he can get, that he's talented enough to succeed. And you hope that is the case with him.